The Batman just released. Is it good? Is it bad? It's a really long movie. Who the fuck knows? But we're going to sit here and discuss about it. So if you want to hear, watch the rest of this video and we will see you there. Hey, what's going on, everybody? If you've made it past that intro, thank you very much. We're trying to do a little bit more of those, make things a little bit more exciting, kind of like the preview before the preview, if you will, like those fucking trailers always do to us. So if it works for them, we're going to try it.
Pre-trailer trailer.
Yeah, it's the pre-trailer trailer. It's exactly what it is. Now we just want to get people hyped for the videos. But yeah, we're going to be talking about The Batman today. We're going to be going over this. I don't know how long this is going to go because this was a 3-hour movie. So obviously there's a lot to unpack from, top to bottom, whether it's, the movie itself, the direction it went, the style of it, the music. I mean, we're going into fucking everything because there's a lot to discuss, at least from my point of view, that I want to get into. But before we do that, just make sure you like and subscribe on the channel, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Discord, all that stuff. Check it out. We would love to if you would join us and our family for that. And then, gentlemen, how are we? How are we doing? How was your week? I know it is Saturday today.
Pretty good. I just completed week 3 of my 6 weeks of leave, so it's pretty good. And the weather's fucking beautiful out today,
yes,
and it's supposed to be tomorrow. So it's pretty good ending to the week, I'd have to say. Nothing to really complain about.
You guys actually have better weather than I do for once.
Yeah, thank God.
Usually it's the other way around.
That's Ohio weather. Woo, woo.
It's a beautiful time to sit in a movie theater for 3 hours.
The best of days.
Yes.
It's been a good week for me also. I've been obviously anticipating this movie, wanting to go see it, which I completely forgot that I saw this. They were showing early showings on Thursday as early as 3 p.m. over here. Were they doing the same thing for you guys?
They've started doing that recently. They showed there were some Wednesday screenings of this movie.
Yeah, so. There was the same here. We had there was one time slot. You can go see it on Wednesday. That was it.
I think we had 2 here.
Which I thought was nuts because I was like, wait a minute, am I looking at the right day when I was trying to buy tickets? So I got to see this on Thursday, so the day before the official global release. And then I know you guys saw it yesterday on Friday. Like we always do before we get into the movie, 1 to 10, how are we going to rate this? I can't remember who went first last time.
Start with you, dude.
Yeah, you know what? That's it. I like that. Let's start with you.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to give this a 9.7.
9.7.
Oh my God.
9.7. And obviously we'll get into why I didn't give it a 10 because, as Cody says, nothing can be perfect. So I will let you know why I got close.
That's in his eyes.
True.
Don't let somebody else dictate what you think perfection is, dude. Don't let do that.
I'm not letting him dictate. I agree. I don't think anything can be perfect. When I see perfect, I'll let you know. All right.
I'll be sitting here waiting.
I see it every morning when I see my wife. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
bullshit.
Oh, can you hear that with his eyes?
All right. So what do you guys think? I gave 9.7. What do we got?
We should let Nick go next because he's definitely, we should let Nick go next.
Okay.
I'd say I got maybe 6.8, 6.9.
Okay.
Shocking.
It was.
I was 7, creep into 7. So it's right there. I couldn't decide where I really wanted to place it right there. So.
Okay. I'm a little surprised on that. But,
ouch.
Are you surprised?
That's not bad. That doesn't mean it's bad.
I'm not surprised by it. No.
Okay. What about you?
Am I rating, dude?
Yeah, I'm curious because last night you're like, we have a lot to talk about, and you wouldn't tell me what.
9.4.
Nice.
Go with 9.4.
Does that rating stand for vengeance?
Vengeance.
I do like the mask and the fact that you just creeped up. Which, by the way, everybody, I had no fucking clue that he had that damn thing or that he was even going to do that. That was ingenious. 9.4. Okay, 9.4. So all right. I know Nick's scale usually is a little bit more different as far as when your numbers mean different than kind of what
everybody's different,
All right.
Everything's relative.
9.7. Cody had 9.4. Nick had a 6.7.
6.8, 6.9.
Okay,
around there,
right there. So yeah, that's a little surprising, but this movie, I don't even know where to begin. Let's just talk about the before we get into the details of the story and stuff like that. The look and sound of this movie. What would you guys feel about that? How did you feel about that? Because we've got a lot of iconic stuff when it comes to the Chris Nolan movies. The look and sound of those. What?
Let's do another rating. Rate the cinematic picture with the score, go.
Oh, that's
Not
a
plot,
10.
nothing. Just
That's
visuals
a 10 for me.
with the soundtrack.
I'm giving that a 10 on its own.
That's definitely up there. I don't know what I'd rate it, but it was good. I know Adam had mentioned something about like, you guys will enjoy the score before we had actually gone and seen it. The music never made me pause and be like, oh, this is weird or anything. It flowed like from start to finish with that. So
Like
I had no issues with that at all.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I'll give it like a 9.8. I can't give it a 10 because it's not John Williams. So, but there were a lot of
that's perfection. So we finally found out what perfection is on Cody's scale. All right.
you go.
It's a 0 to a John Williams. Where are you at on this scale, huh?
Now you guys know. It was great. I loved the fact that everything musically had like the bass line of the Batman theme intricated into all of the music. Every score was like there. You could feel that. It's just John Williams does that too with Star Wars with the Force themes kind of in every. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, and this was the music that was done for this movie. I don't know if I'm going to butcher his last name, but it was Michael Giacchino.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it was Michael Giacchino or Giacchino, however you would say it. But he's the one that did the music for this, and I thought it was just amazing because there's a lot of points in this movie where there's no talking, a lot of pause and in drawn out scenes, and the fact that the music can speak for the scene, if that makes sense to anybody, in that moment to where you don't need words and it's not just empty space. So you're just like, okay, like what do we like? It literally was. It was just great. Like I loved it. It made dark scenes beautiful. It made beautiful scenes dark. Like it just contrasted and compared, or I should say complemented, not contrasted, complemented the movie in every aspect.
Yeah.
And
it fit
really
every
did.
scene. Every scene the music kicked in fit what was going on in the scene, which sometimes is not the case. And I loved that the actual theme, we already kind of knew this from the trailer, but it had like, it kind of gave praise to Danny Elfman's theme and Hans Zimmer's. Like he played into both of those themes and had it like within his own. So it was pretty dope. You kind of got a little bit of all three in one.
Yeah, and it really captured the feel of Gotham, I think, too. Like a lot of the dark undertones in the songs and the like I don't want to say grungy emo-ness of it, but like that's kind of what I felt into it, but it fit right. Not like in a cringy, grungy emo type of way, but that's just the feel. It really captured the feeling of Gotham. Yeah. Like if I was to walk around and hear a soundtrack in that city, I feel like that would be the background to that.
I think that's what they were going for, especially with their Nirvana tune into it.
That fit so perfect too.
It fit great.
I loved how they started the movie with kind of that song and then ended it with that song too. It gave me the feeling of like, some of these bands we listen to where they'll start a song and they take you on this epic journey and then end it right as they started it, and you get that feeling, that like perfect sense of completion almost.
Yeah.
That's how I felt when they ended the movie with that song. When that song started kicking in, I was like, oh yeah, it just gave me that feeling. It was like, oh, this is good.
It was like, honestly, it was like Batman's arc throughout this movie, which is great. Which I think we should say, spoiler alert. Now we can get it. Let's just fucking rip into it.
Yeah, spoiler alert if you haven't seen. We don't do non-spoiler
We're 9 minutes
reviews.
in. This is spoiler time.
Yeah.
But Batman's arc in this movie is kind of just like that, where this movie starts and he's like, obviously year 2. They make it very clear to let you know this is year 2.
Yeah.
But he thinks he's vengeance and he needs to put fear into everybody. But by the end of the movie, he's realizing like, I don't need to scare everybody. Like, I need to just have a presence, but be a symbol of hope. Because I thought it was really powerful when the only person to reach their hand out to him when everything was the kid that had that trust with him from earlier. I was like, damn, that's pretty good. That to me was that was probably one of my favorite parts of that movie. His arc kind of being a backstory throughout the thing, but powerful enough to feel it.
Yeah, because if you look at it, when that bad guy gets caught towards the end, the last person who was in like Riddler's group, they're like, who are you? What are you? And he was like, I'm vengeance. And you could see like he didn't say anything after that, but it's like,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say it shows you that he almost feels like he's no better than they are if he's just gonna be like that.
Wasn't that the same old dude from that he's seen in the church earlier that was complaining about his? I thought so.
Yes.
Okay, it was because his face was a little weird because he had that shit on, that like the tape or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
But I thought it was that same old dude, and I loved how they tied that in there too. To like, you get him to kind of realize that he does need to make that change as Batman as well.
Well, yeah, I think that hammered it home, but I think the Riddler conversation started it because you see he lost it when they were talking in Arkham, and he was like, "You helped me. I couldn't have done this without you. Like, we did this together. Yeah. We took down like," and he was like, "I'm no part of this. Like, I'm not like you." Like, I think that was like his realization. And then when he realized that the normal people that follow this guy think that, he was like, "All right, I got to change my way."
Yeah, which, by the way, talking about the way that Batman was and inflicting fear, I want to commend this movie 110% on really instilling the fact that these criminals are scared shitless of this man. He's only been doing it for 2 years, but they're literally scared of their own shadow, let alone the shadows themselves. Like, they hammer it home that, like, and even Batman says it, "I am the shadows." Like, they hammer it home that, like, he's fucking Batman. Like, you need to be afraid. You always need to look around corners. Like, he's not even there and they think he's there. Like, that's how, like, I love that because he's the Dark Knight. Like, we obviously have seen criminals afraid, but this movie really hammered it home that they are terrified to the point where they're like looking at the bat signal and looking at every corner and like, "Oh my God, like I don't even want to move right now."
They did make his presence a lot more brutal. I loved it.
It was great. Well, his presence was brutal. I mean, I think that's what they were trying to get across in the beginning. And then him realizing he can't be that brutal, only when necessary, you know?
Yeah, I mean, even when you look at the scene where, they do the car chase with the Penguin and, the car flips and he's walking towards him, the Penguin just isn't even trying to get out of the car. He's just like mesmerized in fear by watching the Batman just like walk slowly up to him like, holy shit. Like, he's like seeing a shot too. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. But like he's seeing a demon, which, by the way, that shot when that car went through the flames, that was practical.
Yeah.
Which I thought was
really
crazy.
Did that.
It's like, yes. It's so good. But I do
what you can do when you have a budget.
Yeah, their budget was it was anywhere from, I think it was 185 million to 200 million, and they've already made 120 plus this weekend, so they're going to get their money back.
Did like the last ones not have as big a budget or something like that, or?
I would assume that they had about the same budgets, but I just mean, like, superhero movies seem, at least nowadays, seem to have bigger budgets than normal movies. Where some of that would have been CGI'd if it wasn't Batman. That would have been a CGI scene.
Gotcha.
Yeah, The Dark Knight was 180 to 185, so it's literally about the same. It's like $15 million.
With inflation, that's about the same. No, I'm just kidding.
I'd say it's about the same.
They burned a lot of oil. All right, we need that oil.
No wonder these fucking prices are going up. God damn it.
Justice.
Let me ask you this, since we're rating stuff. Let's just get Batman out of the way. Robert Pattinson, I know I've been talking it up. I was excited for it. Killed it as I thought he would. What did you guys think? Because you guys were a little skeptical.
I wasn't skeptical at all. You can only go up from Ben Affleck.
Well,
so I was not skeptical one bit. I was ready and excited. I actually went and bought a ticket to see this movie. That's how not skeptical I was.
I mean, I will be honest, I was skeptical at first, only because I wasn't a fan of Ben Affleck, and then I couldn't visually see, other than the jawline of Robert Pattinson with like the face mask, anything else working.
Before you go further, his jawline as Batman, it's fucking phenomenal. I sit there watching some of the shots. I'm like, this dude's jaw is just fucking cut. Like, it looks like Batman's fucking chin. Like, you know what I mean though? Like, it was good. He just had that presence. Like, yeah, nothing like that. It was like, close though. Keep trying.
I'll try.
Keep trying, dude.
Yeah, his jawline. He was like, he had the jawline of a superhero.
Yeah.
And I mean, God, if he was like 6'4" and jacked, he could be Superman with that jawline.
Yeah.
But yeah, he fit the cowl perfectly for that. But yeah, I was skeptical. I was really skeptical because I hated Ben Affleck. I wasn't a fan of him. And then I thought, I'm like, oh God, they're just doing another casting again, but we're going to the younger version. So I see why they picked him, but I don't know if he's going to work. Like, I was also like, are they going to use the voice changer? Is he going to be able to do his own voice? Is he going to talk normal? Like, I didn't know where this was going to go. So there was too many variables for me to be confident in if he was going to do it. But for me, he hit it out of the park. He reminded me of watching back in the day when I used to watch Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
When you watch that younger version of Batman, especially since like even on the commemorative cup I have, it has the red Batman logo. Like, I kept thinking of that. And that's what this whole movie gave me vibes of, and that's why I really loved it, because I love Batman Beyond as a series.
Especially the beginning when he's fighting those clowns, those guys with the face paint. That was like Batman Beyond for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that he's doing like the voiceover in the beginning, giving you like that detective type of intro speech, like, he's talking over everything that's going on. That was really cool. But yeah, he was perfect for it. For that time of Batman's life, the age, the broodiness. Obviously, the Twilight shit worked because the broodiness of like those types of movies, and the fact that Robert Pattinson is an amazing actor, he killed it.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Who I was really worried about was Commissioner Gordon. Because I loved Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon so much. Yeah. And I was like, I need somebody who's gonna fit and look right in this role. That I was a little worried about it. I don't know who that actor's name was that they got to play Commissioner Gordon, but I thought he fucking killed it too. I liked it a lot. Well, technically he wasn't Commissioner yet. I would correct that.
Commissioner.
But the guy they had to play Gordon, I thought was fucking. I really loved whoever that was playing him, and the relationship between him and Batman the whole way through was like. I'm digging this. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, the actor's name was Jeffrey Wright.
Wright, yeah. He did do phenomenal, and it was great that they let him, like, Gordon's not afraid of Batman. He's going to, like, step in front of him and tell him, listen, no, we're doing this way. Like, I'll let you in on this stuff, but you're doing it my way. And it was great to see, like, especially how all the other cops reacted. Like, boss, what are you bringing him in here for? He's like, he's with me. Like, he's fine. Like, the first, I'll just say this. You want to know what perfection is? The first 20 minutes of this movie, I was like, we are slipping down a road where this is going to be the greatest movie of all time. Because the first 20 minutes of this is just fucking...
That's so solid.
I was just like...
I told you, man. That's why when you asked me, yesterday, or was it the day? No, it was on Thursday. You asked me and you were like, is this good? And I was like, I couldn't use words because I'd give shit away. I was just like, yeah.
Yeah, the first 20 minutes of this film was just... beautifully shot, everything.
The music, the monologue, the look, you just right away you're just sucked in.
You know what it was too? They made Gotham a character, which it should be, because Gotham is a character. It's something that Christopher Nolan did a good job of it. Like, you could tell it was corrupt and everything, but it fucking hit different, especially at the end when you realize that the Waynes are just as corrupt as normal politicians.
Oh, that was probably one of my favorite parts of this whole fucking movie is how they brought that back like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
His father being, I was like, this is great. It's not just a sob story of, his parents got shot by some robber or something.
Yeah.
You now see that there's actually maybe more details into it that, his father was just as corrupt as some of these other ones and shit went south. I loved that they put that dirt on them too. It just made it
was beautiful.
So much better. Yeah.
Especially the fact that Alfred hammered it home when he said, he's not a horrible person, but he made mistakes, which shows that like people are human, and it gives that dynamic, almost like indirectly talking about like, if you're going to be a Batman, like you could have good intentions, but you can still do wrong things. Almost putting that conflict in, Robert Pattinson's character, which is great because he's like almost following in his father's footsteps. He's trying to do the right thing, but he's still also like,
good guys make mistakes,
Almost beat a guy's face in.
Which is great because it creates conflict for Batman and Bruce Wayne as a character, because now he's like, everything that I've done this for is now changed. Like, am I still going to do this? And it's great because it gives you that like drama, like what's going to happen. And
that's one thing I wish that they made. And I know we kind of talked about it briefly last night after the movie, Cody. And I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying with the whole Bruce Wayne scenes and all that. But I do wish they had put a little bit more of Bruce Wayne scenes in there, because I feel like maybe Bruce Wayne got like 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes total screen time in the movie. It was really just a Batman movie, which I'm fine with. But I know you were saying like he kind of came off as bitchy and stuff in some of the scenes, and I don't necessarily disagree. But I did like that dynamic because of him finding this stuff out about his father and shit like that. He's so early in his career. Like you said, they definitely hammer home it's year 2 of Batman. So like I kind of liked the sort of emo bitchiness of the Batman, or Bruce Wayne, sorry, because of all the shit that's going on where he can't separate Batman from Bruce Wayne. So it bleeds into his life as Bruce Wayne. So he's sitting there kind of, thinking about it, pondering on it all the time. It fucks with him. So I don't disagree with how they kind of made it. I wish maybe he was a little more, I don't know, maybe handled it a little better, more as an adult. But I did also like that he didn't, because it did show like, this shit does affect him. Like he just found out his father's, not what he thought he was. His whole family kind of was a lie in a sense, There's a pretty big lie and all the dirt that went on. So I wish, I'm hoping if they make the second one, which it seems like they are, and it seems like Penguin might be somewhat of the focus on there.
Yeah.
I don't know, just the way they kind of shot Penguin there at the end of the movie, and talk. What do you say that line to? Some people will use this as an opportunity to take
Rise to
over
power,
more,
yeah.
whatever. Yeah, and showed Penguin. I'm like, okay, it seems like that's what they're going with. I do hope in the next one they let him kind of flesh out Bruce Wayne a little more. I do hope that, and kind of see a growth as a Bruce Wayne, especially if they're going to keep this kind of younger style Batman where he's kind of just getting into the profession. Like, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It's a different Batman movie because we've never seen him this early on.
Yeah,
like young.
Yeah, isn't every other Batman? He's like way more established. He's been doing the Batman thing for like years and years and shit, right?
So Batman Begins is early on, but obviously
which was Begins the first one
Christopher Nolan one and Christian Bale, yeah.
He becomes Batman. And shit.
Yeah,
okay, that's right.
But
okay.
The difference there is Bruce Wayne's older.
Mm-hmm. He's an adult.
Yeah.
So I don't disagree with you. It's just I guess it's tough for me because I think Christian Bale still has the best overall character to play Batman. I think this is gonna sound weird. I think Robert Pattinson's Batman I actually liked more than Christian Bale, but because Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne is just so fucking good.
So damn good.
He's still top dog to me because there's such a distinction. Like he can put that aside and then become Bruce Wayne, and like in The Dark Knight, which I still think I would rate higher than this movie. Like Bruce Wayne is trying to set up the city where they don't need Batman. Like he realizes, like, you know what I mean. So
yeah,
but we're not there yet with this character. So.
No, and I agree. I think that when we do get a second, which I don't see why they wouldn't make a second one, especially all the hoops that they went through with this movie, and they still got it out. And
Matt Reeves better direct it too. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Matt Reeves better fucking direct the second one.
Yeah.
He better.
I would hope so.
But I do like the points you brought up about him not being so much Bruce Wayne, and like you said, it does make sense because he doesn't want to be around anybody right now. He doesn't know how to separate that shit. So it made sense that there was no Bruce Wayne. So I get that, and I wasn't too upset about it, even though I would like to see it because I know Robert Pattinson could probably pull off that swag and that kind of smooth billionaire type of role. I know
he could for sure.
Yeah, he could definitely do it.
Dickory, dude.
Sorry.
Whoa,
people got some bikes going down the street.
Dirt bikes, dude.
Yeah.
Was that the Batmobile?
Yep.
Bat cycle, dude.
Oh, that scene was sick.
Yeah,
bringing that up, where he's just darkness in an alleyway, and you see the light turns on. I had the biggest smile on my face. I was like, "Oh, here we go!" Oh, that's so fucking good.
And that's what I wanted to bring up because you brought up how the city was the character. Which, by the way, because we're going to talk about the car, the fact that you said the city was a character, I did notice there's only one real scene that we have of Gotham in daylight. Otherwise, it's always at sunset, sunrise, or dark,
and rainy.
And rainy
too. Yeah. I loved that they put that element in there like that. That pretty much, every scene was dark as fuck and raining all the time. I was like, it builds to that emotion that you were talking about, that like, the music carried. It was a nice confluence of a lot of things to really get that emotion in every scene.
Yeah, the only time we see it in daylight for a long period of time or at all was the funeral scene. Like that was it. And even that was gloomy because they were inside. So really, like it gives you that Gotham feel the entire time. And then another thing, like you said, with the car itself, when they did that scene, made the car a character within itself. Because that car literally was doing the same thing that Batman would do, is just like putting fear in the Penguin. The Penguin didn't even want to move. Like that car was just sitting in the alleyway, like whoa, whoa, and you're just like, oh my god! Like,
so good. I had such a smile on my face when that happened.
I could feel it down in my plums when that car turned on.
Yep, dude. Oh, it's so good.
How do we feel about the Batmobile? Obviously, we just kind of said that. Like, Cody, what's your thoughts on the Batmobile?
I like that. You know what? I honestly, my favorite part, and I don't even know if they were going for this, was like you see it in like his Batcave or whatever throughout the movie, covered up and stuff. And it was like a lot of his equipment too. I felt like you really felt like he's building this stuff, like he's making all this stuff. So I felt like it's like, I know because a lot of people were like, "Oh, the Batmobile is like not even finished. There's no back to it." I loved that. Like after seeing it, because it was like, all right, he's still building this. He's working on this stuff and making it like himself. So I loved it.
Yeah. I agree. I like that too. I didn't think about even that as like a complaint of mine. I like the fact, because I thought maybe they were kind of going for that as well. It was like this is like the first iteration of his Batmobile. Like it's still brand new. He's working on it. And I don't know. I felt the same way. I like that they kind of made it that way.
Yeah, think about it. He's doing it for 2 years. How long would it take to build some type of supercar like that and fight crime at the same time and be a billionaire? Like, I totally get it. Yeah, so I loved the vehicle, especially the vehicle chase scene between him and Penguin was awesome. One of the best car chases scenes I've seen in a movie in a long time.
Compared to the last chase scene we got in the fucking Book of Boba Fett, oh my God, this is how it needs to be done.
Yes, without the Power Rangers, please.
It was honestly, I was thinking as this scene was going on, I'm not gonna lie, part of me was like, God, Boba Fett, I don't know what the fuck they did with that car chase scene, but god damn, it's just way better.
Yeah, this was great. And the fact that like Penguin was legitimately afraid running for his life. And then when we talked about when he comes through the flames as he jumps over the semis that had blown up, and you just see the beautiful shot, which by the way, the shots in the car chase scene where they had it right on the front right side of the hood. Yeah. And it's going with the car, and then they show Penguin turn around. You just see his eye, like, oh shit, like this motherfucker is still coming at me. Like, again, hits home like the fear, and I love that. Which, since we're talking about Penguin, by the way, can we talk about Colin Farrell's Penguin?
It was pretty good. Dude, the whole time I'm like trying to see Colin Farrell's face in it, and I'm like, I know it's him, but like I don't see his face. It was like freaking me out a little bit, but it was. I thought he played Penguin solid though. Like it was pretty good. And was this? So I know Penguin a little bit. I know he's a villain of Batman and all that. This is before Penguin becomes like his own
Penguin.
like,
yeah, that's the whole point of him. Like it's someone else's time to shine when he was talking to Falcone and all that.
Okay. That's what I figured. And then again, that's why I was thinking like, okay, the way they shot that end, he said that line, they panned to the Penguin. That's why, okay, I just want to make sure I was like thinking the right thing.
You're pointing to my literally my favorite thing about this movie.
Go for it.
This movie was not a Batman origin movie. It was the villain's origin movie.
Thank you.
That was my favorite part of this movie.
Oh yeah.
Literally my favorite part.
And that's the best part, like you said, because not only are we getting Batman in his infancy stage, but it's mainly because there's all the villains, like you said, Cody. We're getting everyone starting off. So you get to see how it all works, that everyone's interweaving at the same time because they're all coming up, doing their thing, but they're still all interconnecting, and it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. My favorite part. It's my favorite part.
And I'm glad that they did not show the parents dying. I will say that, because when he was doing the monologue in the beginning, they're showing the city. I was literally saying under my breath, I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. Please don't do it. I'm like, please don't do it.
Thank God.
And then, it's so much better the way they went about it.
Yeah, and then they didn't, and I was like, oh, thank God. Like, I was so worried. I was like, if it does, I'm going to be pissed off for 3 hours. I don't care how good this movie is. That will bug me to my core. But yeah, Colin Farrell as a Penguin was crazy, because like they said he went through like 4 hours of prosthetics to like look like that, and it doesn't look like prosthetics.
If you didn't know that was him, you have no fucking clue.
No, not at all. I legitimately, every time he was on screen, I was sitting there studying. I'm like, I got it. You have to see Colin Farrell somewhere in there, and I could not at all. You would not know it's him, and not even voice. Like, I mean, obviously he's an actor.
Yeah,
he can
his
change
accent.
His voice, but I was gonna say, because he's Irish. Is it Irish, right?
I think he's Irish.
Yeah.
And I was like,
maybe
you
accent.
can maybe hear a little bit of that come through, but no, you couldn't even there.
No, he went from he has a thick Irish accent too.
Yeah,
like,
very, very strong.
Very strong, and it hasn't faded over time. Like, it's been the same. So the fact that he can go from that to being like this like New Jersey mob boss type of talking, like Italian
sweetheart.
Dude. He's like, oh, take it easy, sweetheart. I was like, God damn, that's good. Like, it just blows my mind. The mannerisms, the look, and shit like that. Plus, he was funny. Like, he was probably like the one funny character in the movie.
All right,
other.
Let me ask you something, both of you.
Yeah.
You got two characters, all right? Besides Batman, one character you couldn't get enough of that you wanted more of, and a character that just didn't work for you. Was there a character that you were just kind of like didn't feel it?
Catwoman,
you wanted more or didn't feel?
No, I didn't feel it, and it was kind of like we were talking about last night. I feel like because they just assumed. Hold on, there's like. Okay, maybe the cars. Dude, there's I think there's a car. Somebody's got like a house down or so that's just like loud as shit right now. But I feel like it's kind of like I was telling you last night. I like the addition of Catwoman as kind of like sort of a assistant to Batman throughout this, and I feel like they played off the assumption that you knew that they were at some point going to be sort of a love interest in the movie. So I feel like they didn't play that out as they should have. is like we talked about last night. Their first kiss should have been at the end of the movie. I think it would have had way more impact, way more emotion, way more feel to it. And I think I might not have disliked the way they did it so much had they done that. But it did feel like with her, it was a lot of just rushing like their relationship and their like chemistry together. So to me, that kind of was one where like, yeah, I wasn't really feeling it, you know?
It wasn't her playing it. It was more the relationship side that didn't work.
Yeah, I would say that maybe the writing more so than her, because I thought she played it fine, like solid acting all the way through. Like I had no problems with her. Overall, honestly, there wasn't one actor that I didn't think played their part solid in this movie. I think all the acting was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was great. But with her, I think maybe it was just the writing then, yeah. Where I feel like they did play on the assumption that you knew they were going to be in love at some point. So they kind of like, you know, we don't need to really do that much to this line because it's just going to happen. So
I know we talked about that last night, and I was sitting here thinking about it last night, laying in bed, and which is really weird. Why would you lay in bed and think about this movie? But I was.
I did the same.
I kind of got to the point I was like, I want to see it again to see if my theory on this might be right. I feel like that first kiss was more of Selena Kyle trying to be. I think this is what they were going for, but I didn't get that the first. Obviously, you didn't. Selena Kyle trying to manipulate him, like, oh, I'm going to use, kiss him and try to pull him in to feel sympathy for me and do this what I want.
So she could still get that big ass bag of money. Like
and then at the end, it was legitimately real. Like the relationship they built. So I want to see it again and see if that's kind of what the vibe was.
It would be interesting. I would definitely want to do that.
Because Selena Kyle is more she's a manipulative little bitch. She's a thief. So, I mean.
Yeah.
But I do understand what you mean because I felt the same way at first when I watched it.
Yeah.
What about you, Adam?
Yeah,
who's the character that didn't work or writing that didn't work?
See, this is tough for me because there's like for
the
two characters
for sure.
There's two characters that are rough for me because I disliked certain parts of them in both ways, which was between Catwoman and the Riddler. The Catwoman stuff pretty much is what Nick said. Like I couldn't say it different. Like that's roughly around like what I had issues with. As far as like her Catwoman character, but I still loved her as Catwoman. I believed it. Her outfit I thought was really
part. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, she looked the part.
Damn.
The fighting like was so fluid, like you would expect Catwoman to fight. Whether it was her 100% of the time, like the way that she would just like whip around and was like fluid like water.
Legs
was awesome because it showed
I'll tell
like.
You what, I don't know what Lenny Kravitz had in them loins, but god damn.
This is one thing my dad has. He's like, "Is that Kravitz kid?" I'm like, "I don't know." I was like, "Maybe." Like right at the end of the movie, he was like, "Oh,
that's Kravitz kid."
And he asked me like it was like an uncle or something. Is that Kravitz kid? Like, is that?
Yo, you noticed? Is that Kravitz kid over there?
Yo, like that was
Kravitz.
That was the way it felt. But and then part of what I didn't like about the Riddler was I didn't 100% buy his crazy. Like I didn't like when he was like acting like that, and like when he didn't have the mask on and shit like that. I didn't 100% buy it, but I did watch something that kind of explained maybe why he was acting like that, as opposed to the way he acted when he had the mask on. And someone explained it where they said that kind of like Batman. When Batman puts on the outfit, he becomes Batman. He can be who he kind of truly is. And then what?
He explains that himself in the fucking movie.
I was gonna say, didn't he literally say that?
I know he explains it, but I'm just saying I also had to be reminded when I watched the video because, like I said, this was a 3-hour movie. I didn't remember everything, and I remember that. If you'd let me get to it,
all right. Sorry,
I'm not that retarded.
All right. Remember you said that.
But yeah, when he was like doing the whole like crying thing and being upset, I was like, I don't know, but maybe I'm like biased because the Joker's crazy was such a perfect crazy that like that's just what I think of when I think of crazy villain as like a peak. So kind of like how you were saying, like the Nolan films are still here, but you love this film, and there's probably parts where you can go back and forth.
Just one Nolan film, dude.
One Nolan film.
I would say this is probably the second best Batman movie that's come out.
Yeah, I would agree. But yeah, I think that Catwoman bothered me a little bit more than Riddler because I did love the Riddler. And I didn't look up who the guy was. I just kept hearing the name. I'm like, I don't want to see the actor's face. I don't remember what he looks like. I want to keep it completely out of my head. So when he's just like that, I can just see who he is and actually be surprised. And I was surprised.
It wasn't Jim Carrey.
Thank God, dude.
Yeah, I didn't.
Let's be honest. That Riddler was terrible. It was great for Jim Carrey. Like if it wasn't Jim Carrey, that would have been horrible.
No, yeah, agreed, 100%.
It would have come out like how Tommy Lee Jones Two-Face would have been if it wasn't Jim Carrey. You would have the same feel, like Jesus Christ, like
yeah.
Who's the casting director for this movie? Because they should be like hung.
Which funny, we all praised Colin Farrell earlier. Jonah Hill was actually cast as Penguin at first.
Really?
But then he wanted to play the Riddler, but Matt Reeves like no, and so he left the film for creative differences.
I could see him being the Penguin. I could
too.
They wouldn't have had
Farrell, though, I'll tell you that.
Well, yeah, Colin Farrell I think has better acting chops for the role than Jonah Hill, but Jonah Hill could have embodied it without prosthetics.
I agree. It would have been a slightly different character,
actually,
but it would have been good.
I take it back. Don't knock Jonah Hill, dude. He was up for a couple Academy nominations, dude. Okay.
He's a great actor, but
he's yanking a chain, dude.
Oh, I know he is. I'm defending myself.
I'm defending my point.
Listen, all proceeds.
Character that did not work for me, and it I think 100% was just like the writing and the dynamic. It was fucking Alfred.
Really?
I just couldn't buy that. Like, I don't know. I just couldn't buy it. Like, he's figuring out all these ciphers. He was like, what was he, like Navy or something like that?
Something, yeah.
And I was just like he's the one who trained Bruce to fight and stuff. I just never got that deep of a relationship. If you're the one who's taught him all this stuff, I just never felt the depth in that relationship. And it was literally just the writing. I think he was fine as Alfred. He looked fine, everything. It was just like the depth of that relationship was just like not hitting for me.
I would agree, because that scene where they're in the hospital and he's telling him about, his father and all that.
Yeah.
I did feel like it kind of fell a little flat in the emotions where like you would think and honestly that exact reason is if they have this deep relationship, you would think you would feel the weight of him telling Bruce this stuff. And it was kind of like, it did kind of just like, like.
It's really the only character that just fell flat for me. That I was just like, I could have done without him in this movie and have been fine. To be completely honest.
But I would agree. He was a great choice as Alfred, though. Yeah. He's perfect for that role. But yeah, I would agree with that. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think the only scene, even though Nick's, like you said, it was flat, that had any type of like, I guess you could say decent writing was what he was saying. It just didn't feel it after he said it. Because it was great line delivery by Andy Serkis. But it was just kind of like,
Who's the character you couldn't get enough of, dude?
That I couldn't get in?
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but I feel like a little bit was the Riddler. I did like just, I don't know, the whole fucking crazy ass split personality mentality, like Asperger's shit he had going on. I fucking loved it. And then when he was in the room sitting there talking to Batman in the interrogation room, and he just starts screaming like, "No, this is not how it's supposed to work out." It's like, I was just like, "Oh my God!" Like, I like this a lot. Like, you see the switch flick, and he just fucking, he goes from crazy as fuck to even more crazy, and it's just like, I don't know. I love that character a lot. That was one I would be fine if they wrote some more for him in that movie.
I'm 100% with you. It was the Riddler for me too. He was fucking phenomenal.
It did take me aback at first a little bit, the black mask and everything. I was like, oh, I haven't seen the Riddler like that. I don't know if that's how he's portrayed in the comics and all that.
No, so the whole thing was that he wanted to correlate the Riddler with a real life serial killer, which he went off the Zodiac Killer. That's kind of where he got the look from.
I loved it. Yeah,
it was great.
It was weird at first, but it grew on me immediately, and I loved it every step of the way.
Plus, he thought about, when I remember watching an interview on this, he thought about doing the old school Riddler where he'd be bald, so that he wouldn't like leave evidence at a crime and shit like that and blah, blah, blah. But he's like, I don't want to do the whole bald look. Like Cody said, he wanted something more, kind of grounded and realistic with a psychopath. So he came up with the mask idea, the cling wrap stuff, because that way he could still keep where he didn't leave like hair follicles and shit like that and still have the bald look without being bald.
Yeah.
So which I thought was a great touch. And he actually said that he started, when he did that role, he did the cling wrap, which is what he's like, I call it cling wrap because if I say saran wrap with what we're doing in this movie, it'll be a whole lawsuit thing. So he's like, we call it cling wrap. He's like, I don't think that's good PR for them. But he said that he put that stuff on, and like the first day he was like about to pass out. He was like seeing white stars and shit like that because he didn't realize you can't breathe. Like it was basically like sealing in his like sweat and pores. So he had to poke holes in it and shit like that, which is where they eventually got the idea for the mask and having it leather with holes in it. So it was kind of cool to hear like the creation of that.
Yeah. I love the fact that you could hear him breathing too. Like when they had him hiding, he was like,
his intro,
so creepy. Oh, so good.
Yeah, his intro where they show him looking out the window and then that dude's in the house and all of a sudden the TV flickers and you just see like the reflection of him just standing there in the room. I was like, oh, even my daddy, before I could even say anything, my dad's next to me and he's like, God damn.
Yeah.
Like, gee,
oh, they made him like, it was like a horror film. He was like
a
real serial killer. It was fucking phenomenal.
When he bum rushed him, I kind of like jumped, even though I knew it was coming, like just because the whole atmosphere caught me.
He watched him for like 2 minutes. I was like, when's he getting him? When's he getting him?
Yeah.
The hell was
so
that,
it was nothing. I was just making sure I was letting my dad know that we were live right now. That's all.
I seen your little hand.
Yeah, it was just holding up. It was a hold on. But yeah, the Riddler I couldn't get enough of. He would have been my character, even though like there were some parts where I didn't buy the crazy, but I think I was just thinking of the Joker too much, so it was kind of clouding my judgment. Paul Dano did a fantastic job. Fantastic job. I love the fact that they turned the Riddler into a psychopath instead of making him kind of like a goofy, like, oh, we're gonna play a game.
Smart psychopath too.
Yeah.
I love that they kept him like fucking genius, but a psychopath.
Yeah, kind of like what Nick said, you know, like the Asperger's and stuff like that, which we're not talking shit about. We're just saying that when people a lot of times have those, you know, disabilities, if you want to call them that, are usually extremely intelligent.
Yeah.
You know, and it was cool to have that, and the fucking ciphers that he had were so cool. Like I want to like have like them to make a game like at home where you have to figure those out.
They made a game before this movie came out. They had like a website you could go to and actually try to figure out riddles, like, and they would give you like trailers and stuff. That's what I guess there was something at the end of it where the Riddler says goodbye and then it says a website. You go to it, you can figure out all these riddles, and then it kind of hints towards the second movie and stuff. But we have to talk about the Joker. We have to.
Yeah, which also
So that was the Joker in the end there?
It's actually been confirmed by the director. He confirmed it himself in a video you can watch.
That's what I thought it was, but then when we were talking about it after the movie, you were saying it wasn't.
Yeah, it was. I said it wasn't Jared Leto because you guys thought it was Jared Leto's Joker. I was like, no. I
just figured, I was like, well, they can't have Heath Ledger play Joker, so you know, I figured it'd be
Jared Leto. Total new guy, but it is the Joker.
Mm-hmm. It's a kid from Eternals, isn't it?
Yeah, Barry Keoghan or whatever his name is. I don't know. I can't remember his last name. It's Barry something.
Yeah, Keoghan, Barry Keoghan or Barry Keegan.
I think it is Keegan. I think that is how it's pronounced. But I love like because you could only see through like the little slit, but like the whole time he's talking, he had that smile on his face. Yeah, I know Matt Reeves said he kind of got that from the Silent Man movie, and he's gonna have this disorder like where he just smiles, like we know what it is, which I love that.
Yeah, in that video I watched of him talking about it, that's what he basically said, and I thought it was so cool where he just has it's reminiscent of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. He has that like laughing syndrome,
laughing disorder, but this guy, he just has to smile at all times.
Yeah, and he says that he basically wants to have it to where it's almost like he's lived with that his entire life, and how it's twisted his mentality, where he just like is turned into like this crazy psychopath because he just hates the fact that it's tortured him forever.
Life's made him a joke, so now he's gonna be.
Yeah. You know, so I thought that was really cool when he explained it. I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
I didn't see this kid in Eternals, so I mean, as far as acting and what he could do for the Joker, I mean, what are your thoughts?
He'll kill it.
Okay, because I know that we're gonna get, obviously this will be early Joker, because the way that he described it is this is him before he is Joker. He's not Joker yet. He's just kind of.
It's interesting. It's very interesting because he was gonna be throughout the movie. Like they recorded scenes of him throughout the movie just in the background, but cut them all, and I'm really pissed they cut the one in the very beginning after knowing what it would be. Like Batman was going to go to Arkham and actually talk to him about the Riddler to see if he knew who the Riddler was and everything and help him figure it out. And I'm telling you, those are some of the best scenes in the animated show.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
When he goes to Arkham and like the Joker's just sitting there playing cards with himself. And Batman just comes, sits down, and they just talk. Like, I was like, fuck, I totally understand why it was cut. I totally understand it. But God, that would have
been so good.
That would have made this movie fucking great just to see that scene. So,
God, could you imagine if they followed up that first 20 minutes with that scene, dude?
No, I would have needed a new fucking set of pants and everything. I hope we get that, but it kind of says that this director kind of feels like there already is a relationship between Batman and the Joker. Like they already know who each other are. If this was going to be in there early, which I get where I was cut, but I really wish we would have saw it.
Yeah, because he was going to cut all of it. He wasn't even going to put that piece in the end either, from what he said. But he's like, I have to because it kind of, blah, blah, blah. But I remember him explaining, like you said, Cody, about the scenes. And he said it would have made more sense when you see it at the end if we would have had those other scenes in there. And he's like, I will release those. He's like, you will see them out there. Because he's like, how is he going to profile the mind of a madman without asking the mind of a madman? And that would have been great.
Yeah.
It would have been fucking great.
Phenomenal.
Now, how do we feel about his laugh? Obviously, he was laughing towards the end of that scene. I want to hear it on repeat to really know, but like the first initial thoughts of like him laughing, like, what did you think?
It was fine. I didn't have any problems
with
it.
All right, yeah.
It wasn't Jared Leto's where I was like, what the fuck is that? But that was Warner Brothers, but that's a whole nother story.
I think it was a more realistic laugh, like just the laugh of a crazy man. It wasn't like forced, like he was doing his trademark thing. Like that was just him legitimately like cackling.
Yeah.
Let's
be honest, okay? Let's just be honest. We're all Batman fans. We've all seen a lot of Batman stuff. What laugh do you really remember?
Mark Hamill.
Exactly. Do you remember anybody else's?
Even Heath Ledger's not necessarily. I don't even think Heath Ledger's laughed. Like,
he doesn't really have a laugh.
No, he didn't really like.
He does, but it's not. It's just like.
Yeah.
Like
it's not
crazy.
like Joaquin Phoenix is, or like even this guy's at the end of the movie. There's never really a prolonged laugh session.
Like when you think the Joker, no matter who, I don't care who the fuck plays it.
It's always Mark Hamill.
Heath Ledger did great. Mark Hamill's the GOAT.
Oh yeah.
End of story.
The
End
voice,
of friggin' story.
Just so
the
good.
the crown prince of crime. I mean, come on. I'm not
not
worried about the laugh. As long as it doesn't make me cringe, which it didn't, fine.
That's kind of what I was asking. Like if it was good or bad. I wasn't asking on a level of like, rating it against other people.
You were forcing me to pick, dude.
0 to John Williams. What is it right now?
Dog shit.
What
did you think,
not
dude?
even on my scale.
What
did you think?
Like what I said, I think it was more grounded and realistic. So it was nice. It just felt like he was just cackling. Like it wasn't forced like a trademark thing. Like that's like his thing. He just was like laughing legitimately. And I thought it was real and raw. Yeah. So I was cool with it.
I like this little riddle too.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. And I liked how when he was talking to him, the Riddler's like half crying in his prison, like moan crying. And I was like, oh, that's kind of unsettling. Like just it's so good. And there was one other thing. I did like one thing I forgot to talk about with Batman, because we're talking about the Riddler. When he was in his apartment, Riddler's apartment, and he goes in there and the cop just pops in. He's like, hey, you can't be in here. Batman just looks at him, doesn't say anything, like doesn't need words. And the guy's like, okay, all right, whatever, fuck it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, hey, you can't touch the evidence. Looks at him again. And he's like,
evidence. That's all I wanted once.
Dude, when he walked over in that spot of blood the first time, I'm like, can he please just yell, I found some evidence. That's all I wanted.
But I loved that interaction. The interaction that he had between the police was amazing. Yeah. Like every time when he first came in that room in the beginning of the movie, and they're all like, who the fuck's this guy talking shit? Like they hate him, and he's just like, throwing out like they're sitting there talking about something, and he's like, oh, you find this over there or that there, like, or this is what the riddle is, and he's just so slick about figuring shit out that they're like, God damn it, like
yeah. Well, I love too, the detectiveness in this movie is just it's through the roof. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal. It's something you never see in Batman movies. They'll nice show him find some evidence and stuff, but that's it.
Yeah,
never add a scene.
It was cool seeing it because it's like him starting as Batman. Like this is the beginning of his like career as Batman. So like really seeing the methods and stuff that he uses and stuff throughout with the detective side was really cool to see.
Yeah, and it was great that they got something wrong when they were interrogating Penguin. And he was like, oh, look at you two, the world's greatest detectives, can't even speak Spanish. I was like, that's perfect. Like, they can't get everything right.
No, I like that a lot. And then where he opens that parachute and nails that fucking bridge and then hits the semi. I love that too. They threw in these little bits where like they're showing you him still develop. Yeah, he's still developing. I thought those two parts, like I loved those two showing that.
Which can we talk about? Because I was just thinking about it when you were talking about Batman when he gets fucking shot point blank with that shotgun. That I saw
he eats it, dude.
He eats it, but I watched a reviewer bring up a good point, and I don't know if it's like far stretching or reaching, guessing on this, but I thought it was just like an adrenaline drug. I thought it was a form
Bane's
of
venom, dude.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing. Do you think that that's true?
100%.
It's either that or cocaine. We talked about last
time. Yeah, I was like, Kim's like, what was that? I was like, it was
cocaine. we put in the man hours, and we've come down. It's either two things: Bane juice or cocaine.
Yeah, it was Bane's venom. My uncle went to see the movie with us, and my uncle was like, yeah, Batman in his early days used to use Bane's venom like all the time for situations like that, and then try to destroy it. And Bane's the one who figured out like, oh, I can get fucking super ripped off this stuff. So they did hint towards that being in existence.
Yeah, because that was dope when he sticks that in his leg and he just goes, ah! And he just I was like, whoa, let's go.
It is alive.
And then he just starts beating that dude's face in, and Catwoman was like, holy shit.
I was like, he's dead. That guy's dead. This is a gun.
It was just an old school fucking beat down, and it was so good.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, everything about this movie really worked for me. Like, it just all fell into place. The fact that like everything this movie had to go through with kind of reshoots, Robert Pattinson getting fucking COVID, the COVID issues around the movie. I heard in one reviewer talking about that there was talk that at one point Matt Reeves wasn't even in a room and had to like direct through an earpiece, not even seeing the people to like tell them what to do. And the fact that like it went through so much shit and it was this polished for a Batman movie blows my mind.
Yeah,
that all of the hype for this lived up to what it was. And I think I would hope we can agree on that. Like, this did not like disappoint in any way from what we were expecting or hoping for.
No, I don't think it disappointed at all.
And it really opens up a great universe of Batman that I want to see, because this is the type of universe I'm not going to say that he's my Batman, the one that
Batman.
My Batman.
But I will say this is the universe of Batman that I want. Like, this is the one I want to explore hardcore, because everything that they've done, we've talked about in this video, the way that they've described it, they've showed it, the music, that's the universe I want. What?
Yeah, no, I agree. No, I'm just being childish. That's all.
Oh, because I was talking with my hands.
You said explore hardcore, so I was like, whoa, easy.
Hardcore parkour.
No, I don't disagree with you. I'd love to see a second one. Here's what I hope. I hope this stays the hell away from the DC universe. Like, Aquaman, everything. I want this to be its own fucking thing. I don't want none of that fucking bullshit.
I will agree.
Justice League, dude? You don't want none of that shit?
No.
I don't want this to interweave with anything. I want it to be its own like trilogy. If they do this trilogy, I want to see how this movie started with like the creation of all these characters. The middle movie, we get to see them moving in the direction that they're going to go between Penguin, Joker, Riddler, all that stuff. And then I want like a big blowout at the end of the third movie, or however many they want to make. If they do it in a 3-series movie, I want to see all of this coming to an end where there's like an Avengers type moment where you get all these people like going at it.
Yeah.
And that would be cool.
Here's what I could see is, and I actually would like to see this, is where this is kind of like a Gotham universe, its own separate thing from the movies, but like maybe we get a Penguin HBO Max series where we see him, just his growth in taking over Falcone's stuff and becoming the Penguin. That way, next movie we already know he's established. Like, we already know how he got it, how in depth his corruption goes with everybody.
That would be pretty solid.
That'd be sick. Colin Farrell could fucking pull it off and hold the show by himself.
Yeah.
Make it like a little 6, 7, 8, like really use HBO Max since they have that contract with them, and do what Disney Plus basically does. Fill in the gaps so that, you don't have to make stretch things in movies.
Don't give us the Penguin and it's actually about Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, right. Today's forecast is cold weather.
The best line in that movie, or all his like iconic one-liners he had in that movie, like everybody chill.
Yeah.
And then like they come in and he's like, I guess it's time to break the ice.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
George Clooney as Batman. What a fucking mistake.
I want to go back through and rewatch. I was talking to Alyssa last night. We're on our way home. I'm going to just because I want to see him again. But I was telling her too. I was like, you don't remember Val Kilmer? She's like, who the fuck's Val Kilmer? I'm like, he played Batman in one movie.
Fucking Iceman is, dude.
That's how I'm like, oh, was that Top Gun? I never watched Top Gun, but
yeah, dude. What?
But I knew
when I think of Val Kilmer, that's what I think of. I don't think of Batman.
When I think of America, that's what I think of.
I don't care that much Top Gun, but whatever.
You're just not American, dude.
I prefer Mission Impossible Tom Cruise as opposed to Top Gun Tom Cruise. So
don't you ever talk about any movie that I ever say and talk about it's bad until you've seen Top Gun?
Okay.
Ever.
I'm fine with that.
You hear me?
No, but I want to go through and rewatch them because I know some of them are real cringy and real bad.
All right, Batman. I think it's perfect timing with you throwing that on. How about you close this video out? It's Batman.
We're not closing shit. We're open for business.
I'm not closing. I ain't closing anything except the door.
I have a question to ask before we end this. All right.
Okay. All right.
This movie was probably hyped up. Maybe not as much, but on the same level. And I want to know what's better, Spider-Man or the Batman?
I have two answers for that.
Massively hyped up movies. Which one do you think did the better job delivering what you expected?
The question's a little different than when you first ask it, though.
That's what I'm asking.
So, which one delivered?
Compared
to what you were expecting?
Yes.
See, it's tough because, to be honest, I didn't necessarily have a lot of expectations for the Batman because, like I said, when I hated Ben Affleck, I do not like him as an actor. I don't think he's that great. So when they cast him as Batman, I just dropped out of Batman for a while. So it's tough for me to answer it completely honestly. As a movie itself, I like. Okay, so superheroes, Batman's my all-time favorite. Always has been. Spider-Man's kind of been second, right about there. He hasn't really ever come close to Batman. So, but as a movie itself, what I liked better, I think I enjoyed Spider-Man a little bit better. Not that this was bad. Let's say this, if I were to go rewatch it right now, I would probably rather rewatch the newer Spider-Man than the Batman.
Okay.
First. I'll answer
I think that's fair. I think it's fair.
I will say that they both delivered. Okay, this is such a hard question.
It's very hard question. That's why I
wanted to ask it. That's why I wanted to ask it.
Be careful how I worded it, because you don't want to They're
both movies
really
are great.
Good.
Both movies are great. There's no shame on that.
So I think they both had hype. I think obviously Spider-Man has more hype than Batman. It had more hype build up to it. I think the Batman movie had the most hype around its hardcore fans when it comes to DC or people who just like Batman in general. But Spider-Man is more versatile, and unfortunately you get a lot of fair weather fans that are just like, oh, a Spider-Man movie coming out, and then it gets more hype because of that, and they have no fucking ties to shit. They just are like, it's sexy guys in Spider-Man costumes, I'm gonna go watch. Which, by the way, there were two fucking little girls in the movie when I went to go see Batman. My dad was ready to murder, and I didn't even pay attention to it until the end. You could tell we're just there because Robert Pattinson was in this movie. I mean, they didn't give a shit. Yeah, they didn't give a shit what was going on. They were actually making Snapchats and shit. They're like, we're in the movie. Is it crazy? Well,
dude, all those girls they were young when fucking those stupid vampire movies came out. So now they're they're mid-20s, and they're like, oh, Robert.
Yeah, and they were just talking the whole time.
Yeah.
But okay, so obviously, I expected all the rumors of Spider-Man to be true, so I wasn't so surprised as I was happy when they happened. I wasn't surprised, so I expected them to do what we all thought they were going to do, and it was just cool to see it. But Batman exceeded my expectations on what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be good, but I didn't think it was going to be good enough where I would be like, God damn. I just thought it'd be like, oh, that was decent. Nice try.
Yeah.
So Spider-Man is a better movie entertainment value-wise and rewatchability, but I think that Batman exceeded its expectations on what we were hyped about. That's how I would break it down.
Yeah.
I would rewatch Spider-Man more times than I would rewatch this because I would just have more fun rewatching it. I don't think I could sit through this, many times over. I had to be in the mood for it.
The length?
The last 30 to 40 minutes of the movie were kind of really dragged out, where it was okay, we could wrap some of this up a little bit here.
I got to be in the mood for Batman, but I can watch Spider-Man at any given moment. That's how I'll throw it.
Okay.
But that doesn't diminish Batman in any way. It is
there's no diminishing either movie.
Yeah, I was just letting everyone who was watching or listening know, like, it's not diminishing in any way. It's just that's how I'd have to feel watching those movies.
For the record, I'd rewatch both of these movies before I watch a number of other movies too.
Yeah, no shit.
Put it that way. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, that's how I would sum it up, because that ain't easy to answer.
You already know my answer, dude.
Batman.
I think Batman is probably the better movie, but I agree with you guys. Entertainment-wise, Spider-Man's probably more rewatchable. But because I'm such a Batman fan, I could watch this movie like 3 times in a day, probably. To put this in perspective, I saw The Dark Knight in theaters 11 times.
Such a damn good movie.
Probably going to see this movie 6 or 7. I only saw Spider-Man 3 in theaters. So
I'll probably see this one twice. My girlfriend she was like, "Oh yeah, you go see it. We'll just watch it when it comes out." And I'm like, "Well, I'm probably going again. So you're gonna watch this in the goddamn theater? Like, this is happening."
I'll be honest. I will be honest. My answer would probably be different if this movie was like 2.5 hours long. If it was 2.5 hours long, I would say the rewatchability of this movie is just as good as Spider-Man.
I would put that right there with you, to be honest. It is that last portion of the movie where,
and that's not like, even okay. Like the whole movie had me locked in the whole time, but there is like a moment where you're just like, when you sit down to watch a movie, you're like, damn, this movie's 3 hours. Maybe we should watch this movie. It's only like 2:20. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
Just when you plan your day out for rewatching a movie.
It's a lot of reasons why I go and turn on a Marvel movie and I'm like, okay, it's about 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I'm like, oh my god, this movie's 3 hours. I don't know if I want to be up till 11 watching a fucking movie. Like,
yeah. So. And I will say something about this runtime. It felt every bit of 3 hours, but it didn't feel like a shitty 3 hours.
No, definitely didn't feel like a shitty 3 hours. Again, it wasn't until the end where I was like, okay, let's go. Like, I'm looking at my watch, like, let's wrap it up. It really wasn't until the end that I got any type of antsy or anxiousness to want to get out of there. It was a good 3 hours, pretty much.
I won't lie. Like, when I think it was either right before or right after the penguin chase scene. I looked at my watch. I was like, God, we got another hour. Like, this is great. Like, at that time, I was pumped. We got another hour of this.
I did that a couple of times because I was like, how much more are we going to get? And I was like, yes.
I didn't want to look at my phone because of that.
I look at my phone. I had my watch on. And every time I moved my arm, it would pop up. So I'd creep over. I was like, oh, shit, here we go.
That's I didn't want to look because I'd be like, man, it's going to be so good. And I'm going to find out we got a half hour left. And I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
I did good on keeping off of that.
Yeah, so it was I guess that would sum it up for us. Any other closing comments you want? Nick, Batman, anything?
No.
I'm good.
Good movie. Great movie.
All right, well, definitely let us know what you thought of the movie, if you've seen it yet, how many times you plan on seeing it, or, if you're just going to at least see it once and decide what you think of the movie then. But let us know in the comments below what you thought. Definitely hit a like or subscribe on this channel as well. Show us the love, get us to the algorithm. It's free, takes 2 seconds. We'd greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you've enjoyed the content so far. Let us know what you think of the intros that we're doing, the little trailer before the trailer type of thing. I'd love to get your feedback on that. And thank you everyone who hung out with us when we did the live for the Pokemon pack openings. I'm going to be trying to join in on those when I can. I'm going to be trying to get some packs myself, so definitely stay tuned for more of that. And with that, you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend, as it is Saturday here, and we will catch you fuckers next time.
I'm Batman.